Third time's the charm. Good evening, everybody. It is I, the Bane of the Woke, the Harbinger Heritage, the Mad Shogun, Aaron Alexander, and this is the SHOGUNCAST after party here after last night's stream. As I'm checking the old clock on the wall, it is about 7 minutes after 12 on the East Coast here in beautiful Central Florida, which means to all those who celebrate, Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you all load yourself up with turkey stuffing, macaroni and cheese, mashed potatoes, pie. Hell, you can even if you want, you can probably eat a horse or something like that. Just please don't slay any unicorns. But anyway, it is my honor to bring back once again to the Shogunate this week's absolute king of the week, alongside Xanatrix, the gaming monk himself, Mildra. How you doing? How you doing tonight, old friend?
I'm doing good. I'm doing better than I was a few days ago, and I do have to thank the groundswell of support that I've gotten for Legend Edition
Yeah.
through both personal friends as well as the many friendly contacts that I have had in the game design space who have been willing to help signal boost the project
Yes, and that and those
over,
and that
over the last
and
few
that's
years.
and those are very are legion. And by the way, I did hear about your loss. So heard about your loss over the past 6 weeks. So my condolences out to you on both of those.
Yeah, thank you for that. I didn't think I didn't think I'd be going to two funerals in less than a month.
That's nasty. I mean, it's one funeral's bad enough, but now two, damn. It's like what's up with all this death surrounding me?
Mhm. Huh.
So so on the stream we spent a good amount of the stream talking about Final Fantasy Legend and the fact, and it seems like a group of insurrectionists, if you will. From my understanding, they set up a quote unquote community server. Well, let's just be honest, it's a fucking gay ops server. Okay, they try to rip the project from you out from under you and Zan.
Now, I think it's important to go a bit of the sugar before we get into the salt, much like you did during the stream, because I did watch the VOD.
Oh yes.
So
So yeah.
there
The other.
are
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but yeah, there's a couple things I really wanted to clear up with some of the things. Now, I do understand you have like a class tree, like 5 class trees where you have your independent jobs, your warrior, your mage.
not
Now,
five, and it's not exactly a tree. It's more of tracks.
ah,
So to explain what I mean by that, we only have four classes within the game, but we have dozens of jobs.
okay.
The reason it's called Legend Edition is it is what if you look on one of the early pages in the core book,
Mm-hmm.
we list off several of our main inspirations, none of which are D&D despite the insistence from one idiot that I was drawing from D&D because my D20 was their
Yeah.
basic argument. And I had made it clear to that person I was not cool with the fact that they were using their particular beef against D&D, using my game as a proxy. That was very disrespectful.
Yeah,
And I
really.
made
No game should be like that. Yeah, like I said, why would it never use a game as sort of a way to get back at someone else? I mean, sure, you do. The closer you get, is you do better than them, but don't use it to. Don't use. It's like the tabletop equivalent of revenge porn.
well, in this particular case, there is a page just before the table of contents, page 4 on the PDF, where I list off my inspirations. None of them are D&D. I made it clear that none of them were D&D, and they insisted that I was still drawing upon D&D 5th edition despite me explicitly saying no, and that is the end of that discussion.
Okay.
What I was drawing upon were the previous Final Fantasy projects, such as going all the way back to the Returnal project that started in the 90s, as well as stuff like 4th edition by Bruno, Omega Fantasy, the D20 project, the D6 project, as well as stuff like Shadow of the Demon Lord, 13th Age, Fantasy Craft, and Legend System. Now, that last one is important. That is where the Legend Edition namesake comes from. Because originally what I was thinking was a Final Fantasy hack of that. Legend System was part of the Test of Spite Arena Challenge on the Giant in the Playground forums a long time ago. Basically a challenge to make a better version of D&D 3rd Edition. And
Mm-hmm.
Giant in the Playground is a treasure trove of fan-made content, both in and out of the D&D bubble. It has been for years. And eventually Legend kind of forked into being its own thing, which there's a very strong um, precedent for that. Um, Rollmaster, one of the enduring entries, and the entry that was the spawn point for Middle Earth role playing,
Mm-hmm.
started out as a collection of AD&D house rules called Arms Law, and iterated itself into becoming its own game.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. Let me go back to. Okay. You said right before the table of contents. Oh, damn it! Get out of here. Yeah. Yeah. I already downloaded the thing, and when you said something about table of contents, so here's what we're gonna do. Where is my thing here? Okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. Let me get into the. Where is it? Swear to God, I got so many freaking tabs open. It's not even funny. All right. Come on, where are you? Don't tell me I can't use that. You know I don't. You know I'm not going to worry about it. But it. Yeah. So I am reading. I am reading into these. God damn it! Where the hell is it? Okay, here it is. So I'm reading into. Yeah, I'm looking up the inspirations here. So you have about. So there was 9 books that you use to get your template down. Am I right?
Those were the main 9. There were several others that provided minor bits of inspiration, but I wanted to keep it straightforward as far as the big ones.
Ah,
Obviously, if I
okay.
were to list off all the things that provide inspiration, it would be like somebody's shopping list.
Oh, I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. Okay, so as you were saying,
So one of the big things with the whole race and class system is your choice of class, whether it be warrior, expert, mage, or adept, is essentially a chassis. It is what determines how you're going to develop HP, how you're going to develop MP, how many starting skills you're going to have, as well as what of the 6 ability modifiers you're going to be using for physical and magical combat.
okay, so basically this is mostly for stat growth and skill choice. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right.
Think of it as the frame for a particular car.
Okay, I know of frames.
Uh, which in that regard could make some of them more akin to those old Helixes that are completely unkillable. Believe me, people have tried to kill those Helixes. I don't know what they were. I know what they were made of. It's just kind of funny that no matter what you throw at it, it doesn't die.
Yeah.
But the other thing that each class gives is one of the 4 limit breaks that you'll have. I'll get to limit breaks in a minute.
Okay.
But your choice, every character starts with 3 jobs. All of the jobs that are there are available. The only rule is at least one of the jobs of those 3 that you pick has to be associated with your class. So if you pick warrior as your class, you have to have at least one of those jobs be one of the warrior's associated jobs.
So yeah, so basically you can pick any job you want just as long as you're one of those jobs has to be in that pool of your class. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, these three jobs are assigned one of three progression rates
Okay.
because each job is essentially a series of features divided into 7 tiers called circles.
Mm-hmm.
One of the jobs is assigned to fast progression, one to medium progression, one to slow progression, and
Ah.
this is over the course of 20 levels. It is on a 3-level stagger.
Now
So,
I assume that the fast progression has to be in the class you pick.
uh, no,
No. Hmm.
no, it just has to be one of them.
Okay. All right.
And there is an alternate approach called full buy-in, which gives you an additional medium progression track, so you can take 4 jobs. But if you take that, you get a lower amount of magic item slots as you level.
Oh.
So it is a trade-off. Zan and I are particularly fond of risk reward and trade-off systems in game design,
Mm-hmm. Make
and
Yeah, makes sense. I was trying to go for that same deal with Ronan as well. So, yeah.
yeah, and so the way it would end up working is at level 1, you would have your first circle abilities from your fast and medium job.
Mm-hmm.
You would get your slow jobs first circle abilities at second level, and then it alternates from fast, medium to slow for every level after that, all the way up to 20th.
Uh-huh.
20th level is the hard cap.
Ah,
So that's why I say that it's not exactly a tree setup. Uh,
it's more of a pool instead of a tree.
mhm.
All right.
Now, like I said, there are only four classes. Warrior is focused on physical combat.
Yeah, it's pretty
Expert,
self-explanatory.
yeah, expert is the skill monkey essentially.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was a little confused about that one because I thought it was like a support class, judging by all this, and then I look at. Oh, we'll come. I'll explain further when we get to the fourth. So
yep.
go ahead.
Mage is self-explanatory at all things magical combat,
Mm-hmm.
and adept is the in-betweeners.
Okay.
So you could kind of look at it as a golden triangle, adept being right in the middle.
Oh.
Independent, there is no independent class. These are a series of jobs that are not affiliated with any class.
Mm-hmm.
They're also a bit of a higher floor.
Yeah.
And while we won't stop anyone, we usually advise people not to pick one of the independent jobs for their first character
Oh
because
no.
they are a bit more there's a bit more of a skill floor with them.
I see. Yeah. It makes sense because these look these look to me like special jobs. Kind of reminds me of
They more or less are.
yeah, kind of reminds me of uh, one of those jobs in Final Fantasy Tactics where you have one class as using a knight sword, another class using like armor destroy equipment destroying attacks and what have you. Those like specialty classes from that game. That kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah. And the a lot of and because of that I'd liken it to if somebody was picking up Street Fighter for the first time, and instead of starting out with Ryu and Ken or something like that, they opt to start with somebody like Vega,
Oh God.
which I'm not gonna stop you if you do that, but
Yeah,
you're
Vega.
also gonna have your cut out for you.
Yeah, Vega's hard to handle, but once you get him, that shit's lethal.
Yeah, it is. which is why I said that it's a higher skill floor with them.
Mm-hmm.
And each of the jobs, as I mentioned, has 7 circles of features. Some circles provide more than one feature, some only provide one.
Is there?
And
Well, sorry to stop you again. Is there an
mm,
example? Is there an image example in the in in the ones that you provided
of what?
of those 7 circles that you mentioned?
Um, that's pretty much the text for each job entry within the book.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I could. Yeah, I don't see the circles, but that's fine. Well,
There isn't The circles aren't literal.
uh,
Uh, and I guess you could think of it the circles as tiers of advancement.
okay. Sort of like my how I set up the some of my specialties in Ronin. It's the same ballpark. I'm not saying it's similar. It's like word for word similar. I'm saying it's the same ballpark. It's sort of like the stances and what have you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I will I will note some of the jobs are ones that don't have an exact equivalent in the video games because there were certain niches that I wanted to fulfill.
I
Um,
see.
for example, there is no Chocobo Knight job in any of the video games, but I wanted a mounted combat archetype,
Hmm.
something akin to the old Cavalier or some non-FF versions of Dragoon. Since remember, Dragoon has its own connotation in history,
Mm-hmm.
and hell, in Japan, it's not even called Dragoon; it's called Dragon Knight.
Yeah.
But think there are also things like the Yokai, Guardian, and Exorcist, as well as Spirit Master, which were taken from Bravely Second. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take any from Bravely Default 2 because all the asterisks in Bravely Default 2 were already covered by something.
All right. Okay.
And the yokai in particular, that originally was going to be the controllable summon archetype, sort of like in Final Fantasy X. I
Oh.
didn't like how it was.
Oh. So basically, summoner in the way that way Yuna was. So basically, there's two types of summoners in this UC.
Yeah, there's the summoner that's using it as a companion, kind of like in the MMOs,
Okay.
and yokai originally was going to be the controllable summon a la Yuna, but I didn't like how it kept writing out.
Mm-hmm.
Something felt off. Then I looked at Yoko's design in Bravely Second, and an idea came to me of a yokai being akin to what's known in Japanese as a kamigakari, or in Voodoo as a cheval.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, somebody who is channeling in this case, an Eidolon's essence, using their body as a catalyst, transforming themselves into this hybrid of the two,
So
which
basically,
referred to as an avatar.
okay, I think I just know what you're talking about. So basically, it's more of a puppet master, if you will.
Oh,
I mean, not per se,
no,
but I would say
no,
not. It's not even the same ballpark.
no, because the idea is that they are more of a channeler.
Oh,
They're channeling these a Eidolon to become this fusion. In fact, the fusion mechanic that was in Shadow Hearts would be an excellent parallel, as well as
oh, okay. I
the
see what you mean.
Avatar tuner in Digital Devil Saga.
So in this, so okay, because I know I have played Shadow Hearts, so and I know the main character Yuri Hyuga. He so this guy turns into like one of those summons, I assume.
Yeah, the
Okay,
idea is that your form as a yokai is akin to this mix between yourself and the Eidolon in question.
yeah.
And
No.
because of that, yokai is the only job that can be taken more than once. You're just picking a different Eidolon, but picking it more than once does have its own catches. Like the fact that you can't be in more than one form at the same time.
Yeah, that yeah, being like two forms, that would be stupid. It wouldn't make any sense.
Uh, but there was, and things like entertainer is me mixing bard and dancer, because I felt that they were that for the
They're too
design philosophy
similar.
of this game,
Yeah, they're too
they were too
similar.
similar.
Yeah, I know.
Um, Stuff like covert ops is the Turks in all but name.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but the approach that I took is covert ops is the spy fiction job. A big part of them is being the face in the crowd that you see but you don't recognize.
Ah,
Uh, and one of their abilities, under 30 seconds, that's a nod to a Wired video I saw where an ex-operative was examining spy movies, and he brought up a 30-second rule. Basically, that a field agent has to be able to put on or put off a disguise in less than 30 seconds.
mm-hmm.
Uh, and same thing with things like Gray Man and the like. It's the covert ops job is for those people who are able to be the face in the crowd when need be. They're not invisible. This isn't Ghost in the Shell thermoptics or optic camouflage or something like that.
Or not,
You're just
or not even Dark Man, I assume, right?
mm-mm. You're just not noticed.
Ah,
You're you're there, but nobody's paying attention. Um,
so basically blend into, so basically blend, hide in plain sight.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And things like the dervish, that was my attempt to do a speed based sister to the berserker.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but another thing that I feel I have to note is I made the intentional choice to divorce class and job combinations from specific weapons.
Ah, so this,
Instead, going with a tag based design for making weapons.
so basically anyone of any class or any job can use any weapon.
Yes, because everyone is making a custom weapon from the word go. Um, some jobs like the fighter are going to be having more of them.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the reference I often use for the fighter is Therian's appearance in Dissidia, where he's just a walking arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
But your weapon is composed of a meta type, which is whether it's physical or an arcane weapon, i.e., whether it's using physical or magical combat modifiers.
Mm-hmm.
Your template, which is whether it's a light, medium, or heavy weapon, and whether it's melee or ranged, as well as three customization tags. Um,
Ah,
the reason why I took this approach was I wanted to avoid being a Sisyphus pushing a boulder up a hill,
ah.
because my mindset was no matter how many listed weapons I put in, there's going to be one that gets brought up that I hadn't considered. And at the time, I was reading an interview that Brandon Sanderson did about the Stormlight Archive, good series by the way, and he was asked about the creation of shard blades. He had said that his big inspiration was the Buster Sword in Final Fantasy VII,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the fact that he wanted to create a weapon that had the same cool factors when people first saw that for the first time, as well as when people first saw the lightsaber for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And what I took out of that was there was going, at some point, either in the near or distant future, someone is going to introduce a weapon that has the same kind of cool factor as those examples. And instead of being told, oh, just house rule it, I would rather provide a system so that it'd be easier for someone to integrate that particular weapon into their campaigns. And this system is my example of that. went one step further and demonstrate how you could use it to kind of do martial arts styles as individual weapons.
Oh, it's sort of similar concept as stances, like I have in Ronin, I assume.
Pre- Pretty much. And we included a handful of styles, stuff like capoeira, kung fu, mala yuta, which is one of the oldest styles coming out of India,
Mm-hmm.
um, savat, shotokan, and shinquan.
Ah,
Um, and obviously, if I were to list off different martial arts styles, I'd have a list that was
yeah.
a lot long.
I had the same problem when developing the stances for Ronin. I had too
Mhm.
many of them.
Yeah,
So so in other words, this is more like, okay, I'll just like pick like five or seven of them, and I'll just add the others
yeah,
in later editions. Okay.
yeah. The distinction with light, medium, and heavy, or as the templates are called, close, dueling, and great for melee, and point blank, short, and long for ranged, is
Mm-hmm.
the damage die that is utilized, as well as what is known as the extra effort rule.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because obviously, attack beating defense is going to determine how much damage you do. But for every set of points that you exceed your target's defense, you add 1d4's worth of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Close and point blank do have the lowest base damage at 1d6, but but also have the lowest extra effort threshold. They generate 1d4 for every 3 points. Great and long do 1d10 damage, but have a extra effort threshold of 5 each. So it's a case of heavy weapons can do a fair amount of damage, but they're not going to be as flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas lighter weapons can do a lot of damage, but they can't do it consistently.
Yeah.
Uh, it was mostly there as a way to make it so that a a lighter weapon it is there more as a play style choice rather than it's there because you can't afford something bigger.
It makes sense because this way you don't have to worry about, okay, so at least whatever character you pick, at least the weapon will fit it, but you don't have to worry about, okay, what I'm going to do to spend some money here, or blah 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 blah. Now,
Yeah,
is there a way to improve or upgrade any of these weapons, or that's it?
your damage die you'll get an additional damage die with your weapons every 5 levels,
Okay.
and there's of course the fact that there is a whole magic item creation system that is point based that focuses on um, that can be used with weapons, I should say.
Okay.
So you do have those possibilities for upgrading,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and magic items are not on a slot setup like in D&D or Diablo or the like, but more on a tier system.
Okay, so what I'm getting from what you're describing the weapon system, it's basically freestyle, if you will, right? Except
Yeah,
except yeah, you'll have your basic rules, but other than that, do whatever.
yeah. We had a very blue bucket of Legos design philosophy of we're give once the game's out of our hands, we're giving someone the tools, but other than that, we're hands off. And if somebody wants to homebrew or house rules some stuff, we say go for it. Um, but magic items are built on, as well as consumables, are built on 4 tiers: lesser, greater, relic, and artifact. Depending on your level, that determines how many of each tier you can have.
Mm-hmm.
Each of those tiers has a set budget of enchantment points. Different enchantments will cost 1 to 3 points, and that enchantment point budget is set. So a lesser magic item only has 2 enchantment points.
Hmm. pretty impressive. All right, let's see here.
And we have a handful of sample magic items in the book, as well as more extensive one in the Ultimania guide. That is in the section Gilgamesh's Summer Collection.
Yeah,
Which,
his many weapons, especially the Excalibur.
yeah. Um, we also have Gilgamesh as a potential summon
Ah, yeah,
for both summoners and for yokai,
yeah,
which does give you the risk of, hey, you can have him draw Excalibur, or you could have him draw Excalibur and only do one damage.
yeah. Um, Again, sorry to go back on them, because I'm looking at I'm making, yeah, I know, a lot of people accuse her of being self indulgent for looking at my own game here, but I'm looking at how I got my weapon system in Ronin as it is right now. By the way, Snow and Brian Porkchop did help me out overhaul some of the weapons. I It seems it's sort of coming into it's something similar because in because in right now all damage from any firearms is now based on on weapon caliber. Now it's not based on what type of gun you have anymore, like it used to be the standard, but now it's like whatever caliber bullet you have, that's the damage it does. So, say for instance, a 22 will do like only 2 damage, right, for your base. But if you have like a 357 Magnum, the standard, it'll do 10 damage a shot plus 1 to your strike. So, it seems like it's coming to a point where it's getting to the point where eventually some people can make their own some people make their own fucking weapons and come up with like different type of stats or something like that, and then boom, and all you have to do is just affix the caliber to whatever weapon you want to design. Boom, you're ready to go. I'm starting to see something similar to what you're doing with FFLE's weapon system. So
Yeah.
I find that
Let's
increasingly impressive.
let's Final Fantasy has always had some weapons that don't exactly fit the standard list,
Mm-hmm.
and because setting agnosticism was a big deal for me,
Mm-hmm.
because the especially since the intent is for this to be a Final Fantasy RPG as a whole, not just the ones that I happen to like.
What you're doing. Yeah, it seems what you're doing is more universe agnostic. So it doesn't take place in any set universe.
Yeah,
So
that was a pet peeve I had with some of my predecessors, like the different Returners projects, was that they were far too focused on just the SNES era. Now,
oh
let me be clear. I like 4, 5, and 6. I got nothing but love for those three entries. However, I acknowledge the fact that there are whole generations who have far more of a connection to the PS1 era, or the
mhm.
PS2 era, or the PS3 era, and I'd rather that they be accommodated in some form.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, this comes from somebody that still think Final Fantasy 15, despite the fact I feel it's an incomplete game, it could have been one. It could have matched up with with the golden trilogy of the SNES era.
Um,
I am of the opinion of that, but it's like lost opportunities and what have you. But oh well.
yeah, the I did mention I was going to bring up limit breaks, and
Oh yes.
I made the conscious decision to not do limit breaks as a special attack that you build up a gauge for,
Oh, it's more of a
and instead
buff.
limit breaks are yeah it is a buff that you activate when you're below half that you can activate when you're below half health that lasts through the rest of that encounter.
Uh,
Now, the reason why I made that decision was, for starters, if I did it as a gauge, that's one more resource that you're tracking, and depending on your
Yeah.
build, you might be tracking 5.
Oof.
HP, MP, and possibly 3 different resources depending on what job you pick.
Mm-hmm.
Like if someone went with Dragoon, Monk, and Samurai, they would have to be tracking Blood of the Dragon from Dragoon, um, Chakra from Monk, and Kenki from Samurai.
Mm-hmm.
So adding in addition, not to mention, I would have to do a whole host of calculations about the rate of increase for that gauge, and it would just spiral to other matters that felt weren't worth it. The other effect is that once you take away the flash of a limit break, like say Rough Divide or Omni Slash or the like, it is ultimately an Uber attack,
Yeah.
and to me that's just not interesting.
Yeah. You could.
So
Yeah.
instead,
Yeah. You could put in like any random job. You could put that kind of shit into any random job, and there you go.
so instead the approach I took is that limit breaks are a kind of cheat. They're essentially doing an overpowered version of what that job does normally.
So it's not just
So,
a buff; it's a super buff.
mhm. Is a super buff, you have to be below half health in order to use it. Once you pick that one that you use, you're stuck with that one for the rest of the encounter. And keep in mind, you've got 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have to make a call about which one you're actually going to use. Uh, a class example would be Warrior's Action Surge, which just has it that once per round they can make a weapon attack, basically a basic attack, without spending their action.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, it was going to be that they could do 2 weapon attacks, but I decided that was a little bit too much.
Oh.
So instead, they get 1 weapon attack as a freebie, and then if they want to do another one with their regular action, which you only get 1 of, you could do that. And on the other hand, you have things like the monk's limit break, which yes, I did have to call Final Heaven. Uh, just makes it very easy for them to utilize their blitz techniques.
Ah.
Uh, because normally with blitz, you're rolling 3 attacks and the degree of effect is based on how many of those attacks hit. If Final Heaven is active, any natural even die is treated as a success, as long as at least one of them succeeded.
Okay.
Uh, so again, it's not giving you some brand new technique. It's doing what you're already doing with that job, just better.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and of course, the other reason I wanted to avoid that kind of thing, the limit break as an Uber attack, was because I didn't want people to be building entirely towards that.
Yeah, it would make your character too OP. Makes sense.
It would it would bottleneck what you are doing if you're taking encounter actions solely to try and build to getting that limit break.
Kind of, it's sort of like the finger pointing at the moon from Enter the Dragon.
Hmm.
So, in other words, building up all that liberate, that's just looking at the damn finger instead of the moon.
There were some controversies I had with some of the job design decisions, like the fact that I didn't put a ranger job in it. Um, mostly because ranger in the typical sense skews towards a particular style of high fantasy, and that would conflict with the agnosticism I was going for.
Yeah, and besides, sniper would make it redundant. Since you,
Um, Sniper was originally Archer, but I retitled it because I didn't want people to assume that you needed to have a ranged weapon for it to work.
uh,
Uh, and in the same vein, Dynamo was originally Gunner, but I didn't want people to assume you needed a firearm.
Hmm.
And things like medic were another example of something that's been present, but I wanted to take a different angle. In this case, medic is a non-magical healer.
Which makes sense.
Uh, and I really do have to credit June Chris for a lot of the art that they had done. All of the race and class art was commissioned.
So June Chris
I
did all
was
this?
very hands-on with the design.
Okay, that's very good.
Mhm.
I
I
Go ahead.
was very hands-on with the design goals for each.
I like how the
Uh,
dwarf is designed in this game though, because this 'cause the, using that art style for the dwarf, it's again it harkens back to Final Fantasy IV. We're talking
mhm.
because I remember all the dwarves, they all had like black faces and beady eyes and beards. It's like, oh, it's sort of a flashback to that game.
Yeah, I had specifically told June in all caps, do not give me D&D style dwarves. If you do that, I'm going to tell you to do it again. Um, and I did reference the dwarf designs in Final Fantasy IV, obviously, but also things like mining equipment and trench uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I had a watchword of familiar but different when it came to doing the art for the races,
Uh-huh.
like going with a more barbarian like look for the Elzen instead of going with the noble elf look, because that's been done plenty of
Yeah,
times.
it's over
Uh,
every other every other game always portray the elves as like a bunch of highfalutin noble snobs basically.
yeah,
So
the
yeah.
the design of the androids was the one time that I kind of cheated by sending references to several of the casts from Phantasy Star Online.
Ah.
Uh, but the Banga, I had gone with the idea of how would a salamander based race survive in a more temperate climate? They would wear a shit ton of armor to keep that heat in.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, with the Burmesian, I had sent a lot of old um, French knight designs, especially like musketeer like designs as a reference point.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, with the Humes, I said go a bit steampunk with that, uh, which was me self pandering because I'm a big fan of Wild Arms. I've made that very clear.
Especially Wall Arm. I think Wall Arms 3, in my opinion, is still the best one. Mostly because they literally went to the thing here. Oh, yeah, Snow's just pop just a thing is hold on, let me answer him first real quick.
Uh, the a lot of times the Mithra or the Makote have had a fertile crescent look, but I didn't. But I was already going to do that with the Viera, so I didn't want that to be double
Mm-hmm.
dipped.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, I'd said for the Mithra,
I
go
take
instead with a Mongolian look.
I take it that's Snow. How you doing, my man?
You would be wrong. I was planning on dull dashing, but well, no.
Oh, how you doing? How you doing, Dragon?
Well, fine.
Yeah. So just letting you know, Dragon. Yeah, I am doing an interview live, but I'm recording. This is not streamed. So
Yeah, but I will note, Aaron, that the Varg is drawing from the werewolves in five.
ah. So each race basically has sort of their own culture. Is I see where you're trying to get at. So you got the dwarves. They have, which sort of reminds, which judging by their uniforms, sort of reminds me of late 19th century early 20th century Germans. Like, but we're talking the
I did
Kaiser
say it was
era.
drawing from trench uniforms.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of the. It's like all the dwarves are working for the Kaiser. Then you have the Ellison, basically, but barbarian, sort of like nomads, I assume, like very primitive, which is makes sense.
That is up to the table. The idea was to just give enough to give a table ideas, but they don't have to stick to those ideas.
Okay.
You know, in a lot of with the Mughals, I had sent my artist images of like postal workers from the 50s.
Ah.
The Rogadan, that was a tricky one because I knew I wanted to do the whole sailing thing, but I couldn't figure out an angle. And then I thought, wait, Vikings were sailors before they did the whole raiding thing. So yeah. I said, imagine if a group of Vikings, or actually a more Norse country, had survived all the way to the Age of Sail. But still kept some of their old traditions.
So basically, instead of just raiding everybody, they decide to improve their shipbuilding. Makes sense.
Yeah. Ronso. When I was researching the origin ideas for the Ronso, I found out that one of the references was the Rakshasa, which is a mythological creature throughout East Asia. They're usually depicted as essentially tiger men who are very, very capable in both martial arts and magic.
Yeah, kind of I would say, I don't know, stop me if I'm wrong here, but it sort of kind of reminds me of the Beastmen from Trials of Mana. Am I right?
Yeah, to a point. The reference that I used for the Ronso was Tibetan-style monks. Especially in Final Fantasy X, their home turf, Mount Gagazet, is a full-on constant snowing mountain.
Oh, so they're more like a Tibet, sort of like a Tibetan culture as with the Ronso. Am I right?
That was what I was leaning into. With the Taru, which I went with instead of the Lalafell, because remember, folks, do your civic duty, bully the potato. Yeah, I prefer the design of the Taru over the Lalafell.
Yeah, same here.
The former, they look like chipmunks.
Yeah, their heads look more like, their heads are more shaped like dodgeballs. Especially if
acorns would be closer to the mark, but
that's true. That's true. Especially if they have a certain hairstyle.
But I went with different designs of priests as a reference point for the Taru. With the Varg, I advised to look into the designs of Greco-Roman soldiers.
Oh.
Because the idea of a Roman werewolf was stuck in my head.
So basically, each race has their own culture. So I know I'm repeating myself, but yeah.
And Vieira, I did go with that Fertile Crescent approach.
So they're more
like the male example of the Vieira looks like he wouldn't be too far removed working alongside the Prince of Persia. And probably dying to those bullshit pits, but that's just me being salty because of my time with the original Prince of Persia and all of the pain that that entails.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. I remember that shit. I remember that shit like it was yesterday.
And I'll give credit for that remake with Prince of Persia Classic. It understood the assignment. The problem was it understood the assignment.
Oh. Well,
Uh,
so is there anything else you want to add before we get on to the salt?
um, I will note that the that customization applies just as much to the monster end of things as it does to the player side of things.
Ah.
Um, and this is something that some people have struggled with is the fact that each of the monster entries that I have in the core book, as well as the more dedicated enemy intel field guide, are essentially a collection of pre-gens built off of a monster creation system I made first.
Oh, so basically, so instead of just individual enemies, you went with sort of like like sort of a class of enemies, if you will.
You have a you have a whole separate system for creating NPCs.
Okay.
And that creation system is divorced from a recommended level or something like that because I wanted to not do stuff like challenge rating. I wanted any given monster to be available at any given level.
Ah.
So there was a bit of an auto sliding for their base stats depending on which level you want to slot them in.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm look so if I want, say, Archaeo Demon to be up against at level 3, I can look at the chart that I have and it's HP, MP, attack modifiers, initiative. That's already put in there right from the word go.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the and because I'm using a milestone approach to advancement instead of XP,
Mm-hmm.
the stronger monsters, aside from just having a higher base stat line, are going to it's going to be built more around the treasure die system, where each modifier that you put on a given monster is going to add to that and potentially add more dice. Uh,
So basically, the tougher the enemy, the more the better your spoils.
yeah, you can sacrifice a treasure die to have it always drop a particular item.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you've got a merchant on hand, they can really take advantage of treasure die. Uh, because that is adding to the abstract measure of how I handle gil. It isn't a set amount that you spend. Gil it is used for an acquisition check.
Okay.
You have a stat called resources that you're using like you would any of your core stats,
Mm-hmm.
and you can add to that. You can add 2 rolls of that using using your stake. I renamed it to something else, but it's think of it as a monetary version of MP. You can spend it to boost a roll. You can spend it to make a roll into a failed roll into a success. If you do the latter, you have to spend on a 2-for-1 basis, i.e., you can if you really want to get that item, you can, but you're going to be spending more than normal.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and again, it's tying into that whole agnosticism that I was trying to shoot for.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've realized you had two goals with this entire system: full customization and make sure it doesn't have and make basically you designed this entire game to be sort of like as freestyle as you can get without going completely ham.
Yeah, I've seen some call this the call this a GURPS Final Fantasy experience. I'm not going as customizable as GURPS. I will never do that.
Yeah.
I I have my copy of GURPS Fourth Edition on my shelf, but anytime I feel like opening that up, I can feel my soul screaming at me.
Oh my god.
Uh, is GURPS requires multiple session zeros, and then when the expansion books get broken out, it becomes a cry for help.
Yeah, yeah. That
Uh,
yeah, that, yeah. The key here is you want to keep it simple, not like spend like 15 pre 15 sessions where you're just setting up every aspect of your character.
yeah, I've if someone's taking more than an hour to build their character, um, without without any distractions in my system, they've got bigger problems.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does bog down every. Yeah, it's good to have all. It's nice to have all these customized. Nice to have options, but like I said, you can't just have ice cream, only ice cream in the whole fucking day.
Mm. Now, with the with that said, this was a the reason I speak so much on this was a project that took me 4 years. Originally, it was just going to be a collection of Google documents that Zan and I were working on in these weekly design brainstorm sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I did mention this, but a good chunk of it was done while I was technically homeless.
Oh,
Uh, I was hotel hopping for for several weeks, and working on Legend Edition helped me keep my focus.
damn.
Yes, there was some text early on that was taken straight from the wiki, but that was always meant to be a Lorem Ipsum thing that I would eventually replace,
Mm-hmm.
because at that time I was more focused on getting the mechanics down pat instead of getting down the fluff.
Yeah, I
Uh,
see. I see a lot of attention to detail has been put on it, and like I said, I mean the benefit from this instance, these incidents happening was it. Now, at least now, a lot of people will hear more about your game, which is a good
mhm.
thing. I mean, always look at the silver lining of the situation. But
Yeah, I've had a few people say that that I should continue making games. Um, Alex T, whose work I'm very fond of, going all the way back to when he did Sacrifice.
mm-hmm.
Uh, he has stated that that this looks more professional than some paid games.
Yeah, I
And
know.
I have seen some say, "What? Why didn't you just file off the IP name stuff and go with it as a paid experience?" I was like, the I will quash one myth that I made this to try and get some sort of clout.
Oh yeah,
I told
I
you
heard,
this
I
and others. I don't give a shit about clout. That's not why I became a content creator 11 years ago. I became a content creator because I was seeing a bunch of really awesome games that enough people weren't talking about. So I was like, fine, I'll do it myself.
yeah, I can understand that. Like for instance, I was during last night's stream, I was talking about a video game that I've been playing lately called Scarmond. You've heard of it?
Hmm.
You've heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So far, I'm enjoying it so far. But thing is, I'm trying to get back. I want to get back to playing it. But here's the thing: I got streams to run. Both my folks are halfway infirm, so I got to do everything around the freaking house. 3, I got work, and 4, I got to do stuff for Ronan. Matter of fact,
Hmm.
I'm in the midst of making some maps, and I have 12 books worth of them, and I'm only on book fucking 4.
Hmm.
I am dreading working on book 10 because book 10, it's most of the south side of Chicago.
Oof.
Yes, I've already done with the first 3 books. The first one is a little part of the north side of Chicago. We're talking like Wicker Park, Lincoln Park. The second
Hmm.
was the near west suburbs. It's called Hawthorne, which is Oak Park, River Forest, Cicero, Berwyn. The third one I finished up was the west side, We're talking like everywhere from Logan Square down to Pilsen to a little village. The fourth one that I'm working on right now. This is more the further north side of Chicago. We're talking Rogers Park, Edgewater, Uptown, and all that way. And each book has a theme. The fourth book's theme is a lot of in Ronan's universe. A lot of Japanese corporate migrants have moved into that part of town. So that most of the neighborhoods in that part of Chicago is basically little Tokyo. So
yeah,
so I got a lot of work ahead of me with that one, but I want to get back into Scarmon though. So go ahead.
I've made some inroads to try and do more game streams.
Yeah.
I did promise that when the remaster of the Anima duology came out, I was going to stream that, which I'm almost finished with.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably be completely done with that by Sunday.
Very nice.
Along with a few other projects. I've also been doing these design challenges within my server. The idea being is I give people a prompt. That's it. They have 1 month to come up with a submission. After that, I judge these submissions and I deem one person a winner.
Mm-hmm.
For example, back in September, I had said let's do the Swordtember art challenge just without the art, using the magic item creation system to make a magic weapon a day for 30 days.
Okay.
Swordtember is this art prompt challenge that I see a bunch of artists on Twitter and a few other places do, where you have a one-word prompt for each day of September. That one-word prompt is the only thing you get, and you have to design a magic sword based on that prompt.
Okay.
Another example was last month, because it was October and it was spooky season. I said, build a race based on one of the classic Universal horror monsters.
Okay, who's peeping into the chat? Oh, how you doing,
Hey.
Pork Chop?
Yeah, pretty good. How's it going?
Doing all right. We're doing. I just want to let you know, Pork Chop. We're in the middle of an interview, and we are recording this, but it's good you stop in. Yeah, that was Pork Chop. He's the one working with me on Ronin.
Yeah. But a big reason for those design challenges, which I kind of bit off more than I could chew because it took us 4 hours to go through all of these September entries.
Oh, Jesus!
This was fun, but I'm not doing that again.
You should have done it weekly instead of daily.
I was going with the Swordtember challenge. It's a daily prompt thing, so I was playing it the way it is on the tin. So
Right.
Lesson learned. But then we get into this whole thing, and I do want to make clear, when I made my post on the matter, I was in a calmer state, because when I first got wind of how egregious things were going on, I was bloody furious.
As you should be.
I was thinking, you know what? Are these people worth me removing them from the census? I calmed down afterwards, because I need to make clear. In the itch page, you'll see that I put a section called "Dedicated to Fitzpatrick."
Mm-hmm.
And
Brian
It's very
Fitzpatrick.
clear to me. Yes, Brian Fitzpatrick. No relation to the football player you may be thinking
Not
of.
Fitzception.
No. I've never met Fitzception. Maybe he's a decent guy to have a drink with, but Brian Fitzpatrick was the creator of the Inversion 20 system used in Aliens and Asteroids and Tattered Magics.
Okay.
He's a really cool guy. He was a class act. He was one of the first guys to really push for me to develop my own games, which I was hesitant about it at the time because this was a decade ago,
All right.
and he sadly passed away some years back due to a rafting accident.
Oh.
And I'd said that I would get if I ever I told him a long time ago that if I ever made a game I would give him a shout out
Well,
for helping push me along on that. So
there it is. So R.I.P. to our Brian Fitzpatrick.
yeah, and the other thing is I look at this game as a culmination of a lot of the people who helped build me up to the point of being confident into trying my own game. Brian was one of them. Jeremy Jack, the guy behind Planet Bound, was another, and as well as guys like Alex T.B. Phillips, even a few voice actors like Chuck Huber,
Mm-hmm.
uh, who I'd him as well as Spike Spencer, both of whom have been on the show on multiple occasions.
Okay.
And there's also the fact that in my early years, I really got out of my shell by looking at free fan games and looking at forum games in places like the Forge or Giant in the Playground or 1KM 1KT or the early days of RPG.net, as well as the very early days of EN World. We're talking early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
And Legend Edition to me was my way of giving back to the folks who had helped build me up to where I am now. Which is why when all of this stuff happened, I was so enraged.
And you know what? You had every right to be and I would say you handled it a lot more measured than I would, because one of the best way to really piss me off is stealing from me. I mean, I already mentioned you what happened in Chicago about a month or two ago, right?
Yeah.
I completely cut her off. I completely fucking cut her off.
Yeah, a big reason why I took a more measured approach is I knew that the parties involved really wanted me to fall into the stereotype of the angry guy, so that they could fit a narrative. I knew that was the
True.
ploy, so I didn't feed into that. Plus, um, I did not choose the name Mildra the Monk for its own sake.
Yes.
Being the monk and being that calmer presence that always tries to see the bigger picture in things and not move too rashly
Mm-hmm.
is something I try to embody in almost every aspect of my life, even long before I started on YouTube. And when I was thinking of going into that kind of rage,
You should.
a
Yeah.
part of me would go, "You need to be the monk."
Well, and besides, you got Zan for that.
Yeah, Zan is my evangelist. Occasionally, he seems to become my anger translator. I I was very tempted to parallel the difference between him and me is the difference between like Kendrick and Pusha T regarding how they
Mm-hmm.
handled the whole thing with Drake.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is like, "I am very sorry you're related to a loser." The other is like, "Fuck you and fuck you and everybody around you." Uh, because Pusha is evil.
Oh
and
yeah.
he knows it. But the the now I know it would be very easy to say, "Oh, you should have vetted them."
I
I
did.
was given absolutely no indication of any warning signs from either of them, and I don't pry into people's personal life for the purposes of professionalism.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I'm one of those people that said that to you, and usually, and I always say this. Like I said, I was trying to. You have to protect your IP at all costs, especially nowadays. But you didn't get. But I understand you didn't get that vibe because I did have that bit of a problem trying to work with Autumn Ivy. Cause you remember,
Hmm.
she did some voice work for me. We paid for services, right? But like I said, I mean, she at first I figured, okay, she did. I mean, she didn't come across as freaking as a freaking as a freaking a scumbag who always bitches about fifis and what have you. And besides, I wasn't gonna let her into the inner workings of Ronan anyway. Okay, it's like I said, those who I let whoever's inside the inner circle of working with Ronan are there for a reason. These are people I will completely trust with my project because, like I said, say for instance, some people some like models I want to work with, Mimsy or Emily Cherie. I mean, I'm trying to get hold of them, trying to get something concrete down, but it's like getting trying to get a constant contact from them. It's like herding cats because they're somewhat busy and number two, I'm probably like a relative unknown. I mean, it's not like how it was with how we were with Mercedes. You remember her, and God, I hope
Hmm.
and now that I mention it, God, I hope she's doing okay right now.
Hmm.
But but those are people you do want to work with, but you don't want to let them into you don't want to let them into your inner world where all the freaking where all the sausage is made, if so to speak. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
you will be taking a big risk. So
But the the approach I have taken is can be summed up in in a particular mantra of mine.
mm-hmm,
Give me results, you will get what you have earned. Give me attitude, and you will get what you deserve.
exactly.
I've had the approach of I will when people end up being egregious, I will judge them, and I will judge them harshly. Until then, it's a case of you're in the dragon's temple. Do not but you are a guest in that temple.
Yep.
And when it comes to this early on, I had I had met Nami 3 years ago when she was publicly presenting a mech RPG, which still is in development. Its last update was all the way back in August on her Patreon,
Oof.
called All Systems Go, and was able to quickly bond over our shared love of mecha.
Hmm.
Matt, I had met through a different source, especially the fact that he had worked with someone who I'd interviewed in the past. And originally, I was having him handle the character sheet.
Okay.
That he was working on a different Final Fantasy project with someone else, which was meant to be a successor to Fourth Edition.
Okay.
But the project didn't go anywhere, and he had a bunch of assets he was using. So he approached me about bringing some of those assets he had already made and integrating them into my project, since I was much further on and seemed to have a better design goal than the fifth edition project did.
Mm-hmm.
And I did feel kind of bad because when the primer for fifth edition came out, I did a video on it giving my impressions, and I was very harsh on several things, and I felt like I was somewhat responsible for that project falling apart.
Oh, it kind of well, and now that you mention it, it started to sound like there was a motive behind this guy. Him going
Um,
behind your back.
so for the longest time, things seemed to be on the up and up. You know,
Okay.
we were able to showcase the thing at Sage, which does mean that this is the first TTRPG to ever be showcased at a Sage event. Sage, for those who are unfamiliar, is Sonic Amateur Games Expo,
Okay.
and a lot of fan games and a lot of indie games have cut their teeth in that event. Some of them have gone on to be full on paid games like Freedom Planet
Mm-hmm.
or XF Extreme Formula. Uh, so and when we showcased it, there were some people who were like, "You're gonna get sued by Square," and I'm like,
Yeah.
Sage has had Pokemon fan games, Five Nights at Freddy's fan games, Earthbound fan games, but somehow a Final Fantasy TTRPG is crossing the line. Get fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. I was one of. I did mention that earlier. Is like I wasn't trying to dissuade you. I was saying, be careful. You gotta remember, some of these Japanese companies are pretty litigious.
Although in the time since you've said that, Nintendo has been eating some severe humble pie. So I
I
think
heard about. Yeah, I covered that. Yeah, they powered. The Japanese courts told them to fuck off when it came to Pal World.
not just the Japanese courts, the U.S. Patent Office is also looking at them, going, "Yeah, yeah, you shouldn't have even gotten some of these."
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I do. There was also a report that some of those patents were a bit sloppy, and
Ooh.
it it lent credence to a little theory that I had, that as long as this was as long as this was just on PC, Nintendo didn't really care. The sole reason they started caring was because it was right after they made a deal with Sony.
They trudged into their territory.
It is more the fact that Nintendo and Sony hate each other. They have
Makes.
hated each other since the 90s.
Yeah, I
You'll
think
recall
I know why.
that CD add-on that Nintendo was working with Sony on.
Yeah, it fell through, and the guys at Sony got pissed.
Yeah, because Sony was the bride left at the altar for that whole thing. And of course, then Nintendo said, "Well, screw those guys. We'll go with Philips." We saw how that turned out.
Oops.
And then Sony pulled the biggest pro gamer move ever,
Yeah,
when
that
when um when the with the whole. Are you familiar with the 299 incident?
I might be. I'm if I know
This
if I
was shortly after Sega was trying to defend a 399 price point for the Saturn. At
oh
E3 that year, the representative for Sony walks up to the podium, says 299, refuses to say anything further, and walks off.
oh oh this I know that pissed off Sega.
It pissed off everybody. But especially Nintendo. And the not helping the fact was that, um, companies like Square decided to get in bed with Sony, which is why it took years for any Final Fantasy project to be on a Nintendo system.
Yeah, that yeah that yeah that yeah that animosity goes back decades.
Hmm. And I suppose if I were to draw a parallel, consider the amount of generational hate that goes on between the two big lucha libre promotions in Mexico,
Oh.
CMLL and AAA. Like, when even Conan can't get you two to work together, there's no chance.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't from lack of trying. He tried to get them to do a cross promotion, but both sides were like, "Fuck off, we're not doing that."
Mm-hmm.
But And it's mostly because when one guy had left to form his own promotion, he took a shit ton of the young talent with him.
Oh, he raided a town. Oh, okay. That will.
This
That
wasn't a
will.
talent raid. This was a exodus, like what you had in with that formed Noah back in 2000,
Yeah, but
where all but two guys for All Japan jumped ship and
yeah.
took All Japan's TV deal with them.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, if Muda didn't step in, All Japan probably would have died. uh, but the but getting back to it, there are there's been an innumerable amount of Final Fantasy fan TTRPGs that have been made. Legend Edition is not the first. The earliest form what was the Returners project back in the mid '90s that
Mm-hmm.
went through three editions. Then everybody involved with it kind of split off and did their own projects. One guy did Zodiac, another did D20, another did D6. Um, and then some of those projects were picked up by other people to make their own things. I
Okay.
did outline this kind of lineage of games as best as I could in the core book for Legend Edition, but I'm not 100% confident on a lot of the dates since I'm dealing with material that I can't source anymore because the websites have been long since dead.
Yeah, we're talking. Yeah, it's probably ancient by now.
Uh, as well as a few entries like Bahamut Academy, which were in Portuguese.
Oh.
Uh, I had which I didn't. I never thought I'd be so inundated in the tabletop scene in Brazil or
Hmm.
Italy, but that's happened over the last 10 years. But regardless, the this particular all of this is to say this particular project is the culmination of a lot of factors, include and a lot of build up, which is why it is so personal to me. And when I originally, like I said, things seemed to be in the up and up. When it came to getting feedback, I was noticing this pattern of where a few people would ask certain things, Zan or myself would respond, and then they would jump on to do some sort of interrogation or try and yab at me.
So
One of the
basically, you told them read the freaking manual, and they got pissed.
Yeah, in one particular instance, there was a case where someone was like, why did you design the monsters this way? Aren't they a little too easy? And I had said we had based it on the AI entries for that each of those monsters has on the wiki, as well as looking at different strategy guides.
Hmm.
Uh, and there is a whole blurb within both the enemy intel field guide as well as the core book that the monsters are descriptive and not prescriptive.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel that there's an issue, essentially the monsters that we have are a bunch of pregens that you can shift around or edit as you see fit. That was always the goal.
Yeah, and I don't blame you because, like I said, it would take if you're trying to design each and every individual monster, it would take you forever.
One of the big things I did was look through each of the monsters and try and parse things down into which ones were souped up versions of existing monsters or retranslations.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if I already have Bomb, which is in there, it's a Arcana type monster. I didn't see a reason to have Grenade, which is just a stronger version of Bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I have Goblin, I don't see any reason to have Red Cap,
So so
which is just
base
a Goblin with higher stats.
so basically, you just took a certain monster and just just use a stats, basically use a level slider. It says okay, we don't
Yeah,
we're we'll have the same enemy, but at least we're gonna scale up the level if you want to do the difficulty. But it's sort, and it makes sense too. It cuts back on a lot of bloat.
Yeah, like there's been different types of flans that are references to different types of jelly desserts, but a lot of them are just flans with a different elemental makeup.
Yeah,
So I didn't see a reason to do that when I can just have flan as a template. One of the other things was we've made very clear that we are homebrew friendly. We encourage people to homebrew, to hack it, all of that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And
I
if somebody has a problem with an existing rule, homebrew it or throw it out. That is the basic ass rule zero for any role playing game.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm trying to come up with a sort of a system for in Ronin to sort of like do the same with enemies, because there's going to be a lot of different enemies. Like I said, you got like you got your standard gang bangers, other organization members, like or Python. You have like other like corporate security or drones. Sometimes they're in vehicles. I mean, there's all sorts of things. And this is the problem with some of these games is you don't have you don't want to account for all of these, because it's gonna cause unnecessary bloat in the end. So why be specific?
Yeah, I would rather provide a bunch of archetypes and then provide room for variations on it.
Yeah, if you so bottom line sake, if you want your variations, do it. I got you the basic tools. There you go. Do it your damn self. I'm like I said. I mean,
Hence the blue bucket of Legos philosophy.
like I said, like I said, it's like we try. It's we can't. And I think the problem here is a lot of people that make this. A lot of people that complain about this just want their freaking their hand to be held. You know what I mean? It's like
There was definitely that mindset, and not helped by the fact that both Zan and myself would repeatedly say, "We're not your dad." Uh, the reason why a lot of people were hyper fixated on what the right way to do things
oh
was,
god,
when for something like this, as mentioned many times, it is the blue bucket of Legos.
exactly.
You've got a bucket with a bunch of Legos, and it's on you to put two and two together.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I believe if you try to hold their hand or try hold their hand, I think in a way it's insulting their intelligence. You know what I mean? And in most,
Soft bigotry of low expectations is a thing, but there's also the fact that if I end up giving that kind of advice, then it stops being my campaign and it stops being their campaign and starts being mine,
yeah,
and that's not what I want.
yeah,
And but when we would go, but there would be frequent times where someone would yeah but, and the reason why I singled out Nekohime and 12 was
they
because
always
they were
do
repeat
that. They
offenses of this, where they would go into these circles and basically drown out any potential other conversation. I had a
oh
similar issue a while back with a person named Cold Fusion, who, while they did point out some things that were oversights on my part that I admit, they they were also
they
being
kept yeah butting
they
you,
were
and I
also
know yeah, and knowing you over the years, one of your biggest pet peeves is the yeah but.
yeah, and they didn't quite get the concept that once I've made a decision on something, that's the end of that conversation. To reference Moneyball, this is not a discussion. What are we discussing?
Exactly.
And th- eventually, I would, especially as I was working on the bi-weekly streams called Fated Continuum, where we've been going into the individual FF entries and how one might adapt them into my system.
Okay.
We did that with Final Fantasy V a few days ago. Um, And it, the conversations were getting circular, and it wasn't really doing anything that would help make the game finish, because I did want an endpoint for the game to be in some form of complete. I didn't want to just constantly be updating it like a live service or something.
Oh yeah.
And event and that was when I had put my foot down. I said, I'm locking this thread for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I
I've
will
seen.
unlock the thread.
Yeah, I've seen the. I've seen the thing where where you lock down that thread and everyone's bitching it, getting their bitch on.
It was shortly after that 12 takes credit for opening the gay ops server, but but apparently it was Matt and Nami who had set it up. Some of the people who were in there had joined in, probably not out of any loyalty to them, but probably just to continue the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And
And it devolved into an echo chamber.
yeah,
I've seen the text because we're going. This is going back to this is November the 10th. This is basically when this gay ops server came about. I assume.
yes,
Yeah, that's probably where I. Okay, so that's pretty much the
and
start point right here.
12 was already on thin ice with me, because there were instances where they were demanding that some of their suggestions, which amounted which I had said you can just house rule that, should have been canonized. And
Yeah.
I had no interest in doing that, because we had said with the 1.0 version that there was nothing more we're going to be adding.
So
Anything further on was just going to be refinements or clarifications.
so basically, they were just whining because they wanted their handheld. Is that correct?
They wanted their head canon to be canon.
Oh Jesus Christ! Fucking head cannons.
And I might be exaggerating a bit by calling it headcanon, but basically their vision of it to be the canon one. And I had a very specific vision for how I wanted the game to be developed, and I was not compromising on that vision, and neither was Zan.
Yeah, so that's when a few of these morons began their little insurrection and their gay op servers.
Yeah. Now, originally, I was just gonna let the server slide, like whatever you want to go in your little cubbyhole, go right ahead. But
Okay, yeah,
then when
originally,
I started getting
sorry to interrupt again, but so basically, you figure, okay, well, I'll give them, okay, I'll let it go. They'll vent their frustrations, and then they'll figure they'll cool down. Then they'll get back to business, right? I pretty much assumed that
yeah,
that's what your line of thinking was.
my mindset was I didn't care about their server at first. If they wanted to go in there and cope or whatever, I didn't. Now, if they were going to try and do feedback on the game, I figured it'd be kind of redundant, because I wasn't going to be in that server. Then I would
Okay.
later find out that they had a bot set up to auto ban me or Zan if I ever joined it.
I've seen that. I've like I said, I've read through most of the I've looked through most we both looked through most of the images, and oof. So yeah, it's like it early on. It really went to the 10th level of hell here. It's like
Yeah, and
with
for a lot of it, I wasn't aware of it until less than a week ago, where that was when I was given the tip with a Mega Drive, the same Mega Drive that I linked, that had the collection of screenshots that you saw. And there are a couple reasons why I chose to post them the way that I did. One of them was, if I just said what had happened, the accusation of hearsay would come about.
oh yeah,
So the other reason is so that it would be tied to them. And since they wanted it, since this was essentially a public server,
Yeah.
then I didn't think there was anything wrong with me showing their behavior in public.
Yeah, because basically, because at the end of the day, it's like at first it was like, okay, well, cool, we'll use the server to cool down. Then like 2 days later, you realize it completely turned into a gay op server.
I had gotten the vibe of it with some of the with one or two screenshots that Sig had sent, but I wasn't taking this too serious. And at that time, I I held a hands off degree of trust towards them because I'm not a graphic designer. I was like, you guys do your thing. Just keep me posted if there's anything that needs clarifying or needs my input.
Okay.
Which I think is a reasonable approach.
Mm-hmm. But as I go ahead.
And then I end up getting that stuff from the source, which I know that they think Sig was the one who sent me those screenshots. He wasn't.
It wasn't him.
It was
It wasn't
somebody
him.
else.
And we're not gonna and we're not gonna and we're not gonna disclose. I don't even know this, and you know what? I don't want to even know, so we're not gonna disclose this.
I know who it is, and and that information is staying with me.
Which is smart.
It's smart, and as well as just standard journalistic ethics. And
Yeah.
I have had to resign myself to the fact that I have become a journalist over the past 11 years.
Yes.
Or at the very least, apply journalistic standards.
Yeah. So, so as I look over through this is around part 2. That's when it really started to evolve into gay ops.
Yes. At that was when, because as soon as I got the screens, I shared them with Zan.
I imagine
And
he was livid.
Zan's berserk button is when anybody is messing with people he considers friends.
Mm-hmm.
And he is not the type of person who's going to yell and scream when he's mad at you. When he is calm and speaking slowly, that is when he's pissed.
Don't blame you.
And I will. A few days before this, the same day as I mentioned, there was that lengthy post that Nami had made about about the matter of my leadership abilities and my quote unquote inaction regarding dealing with
Oh,
things because they were trying to frame when I spoke with them, they were trying to frame it as Zan was going overboard and yelling at people
and you
constantly.
weren't, and you weren't, and you, and so they're bitching at you about not ringing in Zan, because I know Zan. This guy shoots from the hip. I mean, yeah, it now, admittedly, and I've said this on the stream last night that at first it freaking annoyed me. I'll be quite honest, but you know what? I'm not. But as time goes on, I think you know what? It turns out he meant well.
And when it comes to the whole you need to rein in Zan. My attitude has been, if you have a problem with Zan, take it up with Zan, not me.
I agree. Yeah, yes.
I'm Zan and I Zan and I work together a lot, but I exhibit no control over him. He exhibits no control over me. So any problem with Zan is not my problem.
So in other words, your name's Paul. That shit's between y'all.
Hmm.
Good policy.
And all the big reason why why these screenshots so infuriated me so was all of this was happening at the same time that they were talking to me with none of this kind of energy. And in fact, when it came to community problems, they were always vague, which Zan called out. That if
Oh,
unless you're specific with us, how do we even know what the problem is?
So basically, Zan, that's what they're mad at. I think Zan sniffed them out.
What they are mad at is the fact that we were not as universally accommodating as they would have liked.
Yeah,
I think they wanted me to be a puppet.
I agree. Yeah, that sounds accurate.
Which, if that is the case, then they clearly did not know. Obviously, a lot of them only knew me through this. Some of them assumed that I'm just a VTuber and forget the fact that I've been a content creator for 10 years and I've only been a VTuber for 1 year.
Yeah.
And even with that, a lot of the stuff that gets associated with VTubers doesn't apply to me.
Yeah, it's basically the Kirscher rule.
And like, well, I'll put it this way: that stuff that happened with Cinder and Red and all the bullshit that happened there.
Yeah.
Do you imagine how much more visceral things would have gotten if I was one of the people who got dragged into that?
Yeah, it would have ended like it would have become a nightmare. But
because I certainly would not hold back my tongue on the matter.
Yeah. Now here's what really pissed me off. This is where I get I start to suspect that a guy that I like to call 12 spurgs and retards tries to
I will note that 12 was I said before, 12 was already on thin ice with me because there was the time where they got pushed back, and then they do this whole, it doesn't matter, please delete all the homebrew that I put up, and it turns out they just wanted that so that all that homebrew could be on a central area that they had control over.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you have demonstrated that you are not trustworthy if you get any sort of pushback.
Yes. And two, and this is what really pissed me off about old spurgs and retards here. He started weaponizing his mental anguish. As you know, I got fucking Asperger's. You know, you know. We both have that problem. What pisses me off, this is one of my biggest pet peeves, this is one thing that could really set me off, is if you take whatever disability you have, mental disability, emotional disability, and use that to make your problems someone else's problems, and using that to use that to beat him over the head with a cudgel and try to play the fucking victim.
Zan suspected that they took issue with the fact that Zan and I do not take self-diagnosis seriously.
Yes, we don't, and you shouldn't. And this is and he says he mocked you for Tumblr 5 DID, which I think is something dissociative disorder or something.
Dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah, that sounds like bullshit to me. And you know what? And even if Xanatrix did call him out for having that, it was completely justified, because they're basically behaving like a bunch of Tumblrites.
Then, and obviously, all of this is being said while I have no knowledge of the matter, and no one's coming to me about community issues.
Yeah.
Yet I'm supposed to be active in that kind of management while managing the development of this as well as several other projects and having a full-time job.
Yes, yeah. That's another thing that I mentioned, that we mentioned in the stream. They always talk about community. You know what? Again,
you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
And that very much was the case. Zan and I have made clear many times we do not respect collectivists.
As you shouldn't.
I have said the nice thing about communities for certain people is that they always have somebody um to make sure they don't take responsibility.
Yeah, no accountability, no whatever. And also another thing that popped up with me is you look at their jargon, community. I forgot what else they said. That there was a few other piece of jargon that came out with him, but then he says, I'm glad we finally have a safe space." And like, oh boy, that's
Now,
when.
when it comes to the idea of safe spaces, the approach I've always taken is I'm not providing a safe space. I'm providing a sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
However, it is much like how if you declare sanctuary in a church, you have some degree of protection, but at the end of the day, you are still a guest in someone else's house,
Yes.
and you
Continental rules, that like you mentioned before, right?
yep, you have the protection. You have the protection of the Continental, but you
But
do
don't
not
be
do business in the Continental.
exactly.
If you do business, your membership is revoked with
Yep.
bullets.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that kind of thing is a successor to the rules of hospitality going back to medieval times.
Guest right.
Guest right. You're familiar with Southern hospitality,
Yes,
which
sir.
is a successor to Scottish hospitality,
Yep.
and breaking that rule can result in a lot of consequences as well as a lot of bad blood. I mean, you've probably heard about that inn in Glencoe that bans all
Oh,
candles.
the Glencoe massacre. Yep. I've seen
Yep.
the Count Dankula video on that one.
I love the fact that even 150 years later, Campbells are still banned from that inn,
Can't
and
say I
people say
blame
I
them.
hold a grudge. But
Can't say I blame them.
yeah, and even the old saying, "When you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do."
Yeah.
Basic, and the
Render unto
approach I've
render unto
taken is
Caesar.
that you when someone's visiting my monastery, they're still a guest. Being in there is a privilege, not a right.
Yeah. Render unto Caesar.
Hmm. And I have a three strike policy. If someone's being egregious, I give them a warning. Afterwards I give them the boot.
Yeah.
If they come back and screw around again, then they get the ban. But
Mm-hmm.
I've never the worst that I've ever done is do a 30-day kick out of someone and then they don't come back. Uh, but I never but I never do the whole safe space thing because
Oh
I'm well
God.
aware that I want a little bit of verbal sparring because that makes people better.
Mm-hmm. Now
Like,
here's what pissed. No, sorry to interrupt, but this is what pisses me off. They go. They open something in their little gay ops server called the Court. So basically, um, and I think Matt Wheaton accurately called this out. This is They were basically doing a show trial of you and Zan in absentia.
apparently they call it the court because they were focused so much on dunking on me.
Oh,
I
basketball
guarantee
court.
you,
Okay, never
yeah,
mind.
I guarantee you none that all of them have worse shooting ability than Ben Simmons. Uh, which, as an aside, Ben Simmons is on my top five most hated NBA players.
Yeah. So this is where the knives came out right here. They were all using this place to sharpen up their knives, rev up, try to pump themselves
Yeah,
up. It's just
gleefully,
nasty.
gleefully doing the whole, oh, we'll change it, and he won't even notice. You have the whole thing with Matt calling me milk, which
I didn't get that
um,
far. At that point, it's like, okay, this is getting really disgusting.
there what There was the whole thing of them trying to hang those old tweets of mine, which
Yeah,
the one
we
from
did get that far.
2017 about Rose City Comic Con they completely disinterpreted. My whole thing was, if you're gonna make that argument of, oh, we can't have this kind of symbolism in the convention, all right, fine. Then you have to disallow anyone from the 501st just for the same reason.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do that because everybody loves the 501st.
All right, now this is one of my favorite. I said this on stream, so I read this along. You're familiar with financial audit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, next week's SHOGUNCAST, we're doing a financial audit stream first week of every month now, because those shows are freaking hilarious. So I went through this message like Caleb Hammer did to their financial statement. So I read it like this. I have my reasons to dislike Mildra and Zan as people, personally between Zan mocking my mental health while two-facing me and Mildra reposting Gamergate and content-friendly close to neo-Nazi rhetoric on Twitter. I said, what does that have to do with anything, you dumbass? I'm not a fan of them and their morals are not in their best interest of others. It feels that they simply want to be right. Spoiler alert, you're not. And so I said, however, for blah, 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 they're severely lacking. How? Having done nothing to foster a welcoming community, why it's their fucking responsibility? Between constantly arguing with their community, they didn't even, because you keep bringing up stupid arguments, shutting down ideas. Well, it's their fucking game. They're not entitled to. They're not entitled to listen.
Funny thing is, we never shut down any ideas. We just said if that's what you want to do, house rule it.
Yeah, how is that shutting it down?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
or as if someone's repeatedly bringing up the same point that we've already addressed multiple times and have pinned, then yeah, I think we're within our rights to get a little bit annoyed when the same question keeps getting brought up. Like one of the repeat ones that was brought up was, how would you make a balanced encounter? Now, this is something that's clearly born out of what we call D20 brain rot.
Oh.
But because of the numerous amount of variables on both the player and GM side, making a balanced encounter in the D&D sense, I won't say it's impossible, but it is impractical.
Yeah, it's very Sisyphean.
It would be the equivalent of trying to do a balanced encounter write-up in a game like GURPS or Savage Worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
like with so much freeform, you can't really do that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you can't. Yeah, in most RPGs, you really can't do it unless the rules are too simple enough. Are too simple. But for something like this, what you're trying to do, a balanced encounter, again, it's like you're gonna burst a freaking brain, a blood vessel in your brain trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Zan has said that the matter is impossible. I don't consider the matter impossible. I just consider the juice not being worth the squeeze.
Agreed.
In fact, I did at one point write a encounter balancing blurb in the book as part of GM advice, but it was so generic I scrapped it.
Yeah.
And my mindset was, there are thousands of GM advice articles, books, YouTube channels, and the like. What can I really add that wouldn't just feel like me regurgitating all of that?
Yeah,
like people have made whole YouTube careers out of doing GM advice.
Yes, and like I said, what you're trying to do is you're trying to give them a big old bucket of Legos, like, hey, have at it, and it's like, and the problem, and I think the problem what you're facing it, and this whole what they're so pissed about is like, what do you want us to do with these Legos?
Yeah, and as far as as far as the whole not building a welcoming community, my attitude is welcome in, drinks are in the house, stay away from my stash, follow the commandments.
There you go. That's doesn't get any more welcoming than that.
Mm-hmm.
I think their definition of sorry to interrupt, but I think their definition of welcoming is basically give them a gold star for them existing in some weird way. That's their definition of it.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
I've had the what's kind of funny is that as this goes on, they start calling me neo-Nazi adjacent and a right-wing chud when my political affiliations have been consistent for the entire time that I have been a content creator. I am aggressively, if not radically, independent.
Mm-hmm.
My attitude is, if anyone, regardless of political affiliation, starts bringing that shit into the temple, they're out.
Yeah.
Not only are they out, I will have their heads on spikes as a warning to everyone else. Don't fucking do that.
Yep.
Because, and this is something that Doku has given me praise about, the fact that I'm willing to work with anyone from any side, but there's the caveat of you're here to work.
Yeah.
You're not here to tell me about if I'm interviewing somebody about a game, the only thing that should matter is the game, because nobody cares about your political affiliation when they're buying a game.
Yes. And like I said, I do commend you for doing that. I mean, me, I can never do that because you know how it is with me and leftoids.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand them. It's been like that for decades.
I have met people on the left and on the right who are willing to put that aside for the greater good of actually getting their game out there, which for a lot of folk is going to be taking a much bigger priority.
Yeah.
And especially when it's so hard to get eyes on a given game at any given point.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult. You heard about what happened with William Dell about Civil War II. I mean, it should have gotten a bit more, but also, freaking Kickstarter rug pulled it.
And even putting aside that, it's just difficult to get eyes on things, which is why I've gotten a lot of praise over the years for doing the interviews that I've done.
Yeah, I know. And personally, I think you should have far more viewers than you have right now. It is a crime. But I think the problem is everyone's addicted to drama. It's like crack cocaine.
And meanwhile, I'm trying to provide a sanctuary from dramas, because, in fact, at any time when I covered some of the issues with a certain VTuber organization, I had made explicitly clear right out the gate, and people can go back and watch the VODs on the matter. This is not about drama.
Mm-hmm.
This is us examining what went down as a kind of what can we learn from this.
Yes.
That was the attitude I had with the whole shit with Niji Sanji. That's the attitude I had with some of the others. Yeah, we made some jokes because with how absurd the situation is, you're gonna have to.
Uh-huh.
But I'm not a drama channel.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be. I mean, it's not your thing. Now, as we go further into this thing, they get more deranged. Like you got 12 spurgs and retards talking about quoting Will Wheaton of all people, and of course, now that I mention that moron.
But shut up, Wesley.
Oh,
God damn it.
I would, but I've seen Will Wheaton's dice rolls. The universe is humbling him anytime he rolls dice.
Good.
From what I've seen of Critical Role, that anytime that he's had to do dice rolls for the game, that has been a running gag for years. That he can never roll good unless it's unless it's a roll that doesn't matter.
Yep.
To the point where nobody touches his dice because they don't want that curse on them.
Yeah, the dice gods are very angry with him, and as we all know, the dice gods don't show any mercy. Amen.
Amen. Even Mercer was asked about it at a panel once, as far as how do you explain his approach, and he just went on a rant for about 15 seconds. Like, there is no explanation. I don't know what one of his ancestors did that cursed him, but that man breaks math and defies physics.
No, I don't think it's anything his ancestors did. No, it's something that, yeah, old Wesley pissed somebody off. Knowing him,
But
I think that's what happened.
yeah, but regardless, bringing up posts from years ago, or the fact that when I posted that variation of the meme where the guy's holding the sign, "You're both fucking stupid," that's more or less my attitude.
It still
Both
applies
people-
today, though. It still fucking applies. But then old Spurgeon retard over here
attempted to try and use the original version of that to imply that is the version that I follow, when
which is bullshit.
it isn't.
Which is bullshit. I mean, that's like me.
And
yeah.
And there was also a few shots that seemed to go with this idea that I have some issue with trans folk, and I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, my view about transsexuals has. I mean, you remember a few years back, I was more open to it. Hell, I had a couple characters in Ronin that were transsexuals. You know, I figured, you know what, it would be a quirky character deal. So fine, let's see how it goes. But lately, and I'm not saying all of them. I'm gonna put it to you this way: for every Blair White, for every Tara Sophia, I don't know where Tara's been. I mean, I hope she's still around kicking ass. But for every one of those, you get 100 weird motherfuckers that have mental issues. They have autogynephilia, and at worst, they'll just go around and turn a school into Hogan's Alley.
And I've always judged people on an individual basis.
Yeah.
And that's why and when somebody does screw up on a certain level, then that's when the gloves come off.
Yes.
I think a lot of people, including this crowd, got this idea that because I was relatively permissive, that they could just get away with everything. And that's not how it works. Mm-hmm. I was my kindness was in saying nothing.
Yes. I think what happened was they mistook you for weak, so they figured they pull that the same thing they deal with the guy that created Skullgirls, and try to redefine what you set up. Now that in and of itself really got me fuming, because again, you go that length to steal from someone, it proves you're a fucking demon.
Yeah. There was also the fact that I think they were gassing each other up about some of the contributions that they had, and got it in their head that they could make a better game than me. To which I say, get in the booth and do it. But I don't think they'll be able to.
I don't either.
I outright told Zan and Sig that I don't think they will be able. I know that they have a Wikidot entry about their fixes. I think that is going to be irrelevant in a month.
They won't. they're incapable of doing that, because here's what I think they would do if they want to do a fork. What they're going to do is they're going to file some of the crap off, file some of the stuff off that you put in on the Legend Edition. What they'll do is they'll just change the names around. They'll just change the names around and just call it something else, and use you and Xanatrix first and pass it off as their own.
Yeah, it's for that reason. I don't even think they'll get that far.
Really?
Because they were far more focused on dunking on me.
Oh.
And moreover, developing your own game requires a certain level of dedication, a certain level of focus.
Dedication, work ethic. You stick-to-itiveness, because there are some people out there that they work on it, and then it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. They just quit after like a year or something.
Yeah, are you familiar with the hip-hop preacher?
Somewhat.
One particular speech of his that I often come back to is the How to Be Successful speech.
Mm-hmm.
And the analogy with the guru that he mentioned about how when you want it more than you can breathe, as much as you need to breathe, then you will be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, they don't want to be successful. They just kind of want it. They don't want it as much as they want to sleep or be cool or party. And that's why I don't think that they have the same mindset. Because at the end of the day, the design ethos for Legend Edition was mine.
Mm-hmm.
I was the one who started the project after an idea got stuck in my head that wouldn't leave, so I started writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kept writing. And then I brought Zan in because I realized this was ballooning way past just a set of house rules.
It sounds like a sort of thing why Snow and Porkchop got involved with developing Ronin, because eventually you get to a point where it's like, okay, this is getting a little bigger than I thought it would be, so might as well get someone to help out. So that's what happened, and Snow and Porkchop got in. I mean, we've had some and I'll be honest with you, the development's been a knockdown drag out. I mean, there were some days where I was like, oh, I'm going to choke one of these guys. But at the end of the day, it's all for a good cause. You know what I mean?
Yeah, obviously Zan and myself have had disagreements on certain design approaches, but whenever those kind of things come up, I always say, okay, what do we do? What do we do to fix this?
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's enough of a reason, if it's enough of an issue that it's being brought up, then what can be done to address it?
Yeah.
Getting shit done.
Yeah. So this is actually where I left off right here with all the crap over the gay officer. I imagine from this point on it gets even more fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh, they're basically getting themselves worked up. So, oh, it's in our hands. Screw those two guys. I'm like, and again, throughout the entire, I think you've seen this pattern back in the VOD, and of course I have to go back to it again to prove a point. Looking at these two names, do you see the words game design there?
No.
I keep going back. It's like, wait a minute. Were they the game designers again? I might be. I think my eyesight might be failing me. I'm over 40, and I'm like, nope. I didn't see game design in there. And I keep going back to it. Because it's like you're in over these fuckers are not only just a bunch of spurgs and trying to steal your shit, but they're in over their freaking head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think they are aware that they couldn't make something to this extent, and I think 12 had at one point said that they would probably crawl back to Final Fantasy D6, which which hasn't been updated in any form in many years.
So at the end of the day, they know they'll just give up and go back to an older freaking thing just because I feel safer here. That's like my fucking security blanket.
And meanwhile, as soon as I finished the writing for Legend Edition, the next step I was at was, let's look at some of the individual entries and even some other RPGs and see how we could adapt them.
Oh god, that is cringe right here. Hold on, you know what? Hold on. Let's see if I can share the screen with you here. Hold on a second. Oh crap! Did I go off the thing here? Oh crap! I went off the thing for a while here, but that's fine. Here's what we're gonna do here. I'll just go ahead and share that screen with you. That's fucking cringe.
Let me see what we got here.
Yeah, using the Michael Jordan clip from Space Jam. I'm sorry, that's cringe. That's fucking cringe.
Yeah. And as far as that remark of trying to act like it's a professional product, we never said that.
Yeah, really.
That is,
where'd they get that from?
The first person to call it professional grade was Alex T.
Mm-hmm.
And I take his word, who has made a bunch of different games under his label Black Oath Entertainment, over them.
Mm-hmm.
But we had always said this was a fan project made by a total of 4 people at the time. That was essentially volunteer work on our spare time with all of the IRL stuff that we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially
because I felt that some people were carrying an expectation that you'd put on a legitimate game design company, like Cubicle 7 or something.
Yeah, and like I said, they're trying to claim it a professional company. Here's the problem: number one, you're giving this shit away for free. So where's the money coming from?
There was a major theme of them criticizing me for things I never actually said, which is something that was going to continue after I did this, because I did get a few bits of info in the aftermath.
Oh.
It is kind of amusing that that, as I mentioned before, they thought that I made this to try and win arguments, which was never the case.
Mm-hmm.
As well as the idea that I made this to advance my career as a streamer.
Yeah, which is a bullshit claim in and of itself.
Mm-hmm. And there was also the claims that that when I made my initial post taking responsibility for how things had spiraled, that I was somehow dodging responsibility for my inaction, and that I was somehow throwing Zan under the bus.
Yeah. And I'm looking now, as I was looking at this, oh god, here we go. They're using this stupid old, oh, he paid for Twitter bullshit. I'm like,
the reason why I have a verified setup on Twitter is because I do a lot of DM exchanges with potential contacts and future interview guests.
That's true.
And when you don't have the paid version, there's only a set amount of DMs you can do a day.
That's true.
That is the sole reason why I have it set up. Any other claim is complete hearsay.
Yep. And even so, you need the engagement boost anyway, you know. And that's what you do. It's in a way, if you're supposed to use it as a business expense. Now, I am tempted to use that promote button eventually, you know. I'm balancing. I'm doing a little balancing there. It's like, it's an eternal question of should I or shouldn't I? You know what I mean? Because I don't want a bunch of like fucking bots from Mumbai boosting my damn tweet.
Yeah, and I've taken the approach. I've made it very clear that's the sole reason I end up paying that amount is the same. It's no different than me having a paid account with say Restream.
Yeah.
And the sole reason I do that is so that I can stream on 3 different SKUs.
There you go.
No more, no less.
Well,
but there was one thing that I had said that they thought that they had some massive gotcha on me when they didn't realize that they fell for a trap.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to go. This was something that I had said 4 days ago on the devlog. So what's next?
Oh, okay. I can actually get to it here. Here it is.
Mm-hmm. Where I had said, some people will not find my apologies satisfactory and instead reframe it to fit a pre-existing narrative about me, applying their grievances with my colleague onto me. I have no intention of mending any bridge with the people whose mind is already made up about me, so I will simply say, may you find peace.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, some bridges were birthed. Well, now, the only thing I disagree with here is, I would say you have absolutely nothing to apologize for here.
Keep in mind that I had posted that before all of this stuff was revealed, so I was operating on faulty information.
Okay, so but it turns out it's like, oh crap.
Mm-hmm. But that particular thing of some people are going to just double down on what they already think. That was a trap that they fell for.
And they did.
And the reason why I put that trap is because I wanted to see who is actually interested in trying to move forward, and who is just there to nurse petty grudges.
Yeah, Matt. Matt's at this point. Max already called you milk.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck he called you milk? What, like, because what? Because this fucker's lactose intolerant, and apparently he this is his way of saying you make him want to take a liquid shit or something.
I know that he wouldn't be saying that shit to my face. I've seen what Matt looks like. He is no threat to me.
Yeah. You're probably got like an entire foot on him or something. Probably he's a goddamn. He's probably a manlet in real life. I probably am taller than him.
Yeah, but obviously. This is how far I went to completely cut Matt and Nami off. And Enix, he wasn't egregious when it came to his involvement, but I had no time for disloyalty.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you for that.
And I completely cut off Matt and Nami from any editing privileges on the itch page. I removed their editing privileges from the shared drive folder where we had all the notes.
Mm-hmm.
I mirrored the errata as well as the spreadsheet contributions that they had, as well as Neko and 12.
Mm-hmm.
And had those ones be the ones that are linked. And basically did. And the trailer, which the reason it's short and silent is because of the requirements for being on the Sage showcase. It had to be less than a minute, and it had to have no audio.
Ah, okay.
So
all right.
play with the hand I'm dealt. Play with the hand I'm dealt.
That makes sense. This is where this fucker gives away his hand here. He basically says if you're gonna steal, he takes your quote, and he thinking, oh, I'm gonna put an Uno reverse card on him.
Well, thank you in that case for acknowledging that I am the best. Thank you for acknowledging your tribal chief.
Yeah, he's Timu chief as far as I'm concerned.
I guess the better way for me to put it, if I want to use a better wrestling reference, is thank you, Matthew, for acknowledging that I am better than you and you know it.
Oh, matter of fact, now that you mention it, I think you know what's coming. Yep. Hold on a second. Where are you? Yeah, I still have this. And where the hell is it? I know I have it. Where the hell did I not put it up? Here it is. Oh shit! Oh my god, you're such a loser, dude. Oh shit! Oh shit! Wait. The old MJF laugh. So yeah, go ahead.
Keep in mind the project that he was involved in beforehand went absolutely nowhere, and he didn't even try to fix it, and yet he thinks he could do a better job than me.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Nami's All Systems Go was meandering about until I gave a bit of advice, and both of them think that they could do a better job than me.
Here's what I think.
I'm not saying this out of arrogance.
Now here I do have a bit of an alternate thing, and this is where I think, and I know this is my detective brain going off saying, because when they're pulling off something criminal like this, which it is criminal, you got to establish a motive. Now here's what I think happened. I think they feel that their shit's become substandard. Anything that they got involved with, so they figure, okay, it's going to take too much work to get this back on its feet. So you know what? Maybe we'll offer to serve thing, crib off him, and then all of a sudden take it from under him. I mean, I do
think there was a desire to be in my chair, to be the one holding the crown.
Yep.
I also think that they figured that I would lean into the trust I had placed to let them do that, and were suddenly surprised when that did not happen.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they completely fucked up on that part.
And
now,
some of them had no.
Go ahead.
Matt and Nami had known me for 3 years, had been on streams with me, had long conversations with me and how I work. So the fact that they took these kind of interpretations of me and how I work shows that at the end of the day they did not know a damn thing.
Exactly.
And
so, yeah.
I'm not gonna say that I handled things perfectly throughout the development process of this.
You did it to the best of your ability. That's all that really matters.
Especially at this kind of scope, with this being my first major project. But I can hold my head high on the fact that I saw this thing to its completion, and was able to achieve something that they will not.
Yeah, and I would say, unlike what I've been going through with Ronan, there hasn't been like an extended amount of point where you're pretty much spinning the tires.
No,
So
I was
that was
very goal oriented throughout.
yeah. I mean, if there's one thing that I could criticize myself throughout this whole proceedings with Ronan is that I was throwing shit at the wall. I was spinning the tires. I was easily distracted, but that's pretty much how it is. Now I did go. Also there is something I forgot to mention on my trip to Chicago. I did touch base with my man Quake, who I see is one of my mentors, and I did a project with him like about almost 10 to 15 years ago. I had some input in his project Fly. So when I came back to Chicago last month, I did manage to link up with him. I was also trying to link up with my first artist Kenneth Ray, but unfortunately he came down with some illness, so he couldn't make it. So if he could, shit happens, then you die. But we did compare notes. He did praise me on how hard I worked on how hard we worked on Ronan, and he gave me a copy of his latest project Fly. Of course, I did get a writing credit for that because I came up with a lot of ideas. This was like over 10 to 15 years ago. This is a long time ago. But the plan right now is this is the reason I'm trying to get a lot of stuff ready, because you're aware of MegaCon's coming up in March, right? That's where I'm going to be. That's where I'm going to be meeting up. And usually every time you go to MegaCon, I usually hang out with the G&G guys, right? They're good folk. I think you've seen a few pictures of me with them, right? I even had a picture with a stuttering Craig. Let's just put it this way. I think height wise, you'd probably be in stiff competition with them.
Yeah, I definitely got that vibe.
Yes, but also who's going to be there is Eric July. And now what I want to do is I want to sort of give him this project Fly and see what he thinks of it, and see what feedback I could get him. So I just want to make the introduction to him, because this project Fly, that's Quake's baby. So what I want to do is I want to link those two up and see what they want to see how they want to do, you know? Because Eric July has been killing it with Ripiverse. I want to see how he messes with Quake.
Yeah. I think the only time that I've had an issue with Eric was one comment where he was commenting on the state of things with WotC, and I didn't have an issue with him specifically. It was more of you're stepping to something that you know very little about.
It's unfamiliar territory to him. So yeah, that's what I would say. I don't think he's that adept when it comes to the tabletop scene, but and I think that could work to my detriment because what I want to do ultimately is I want to get a physical book out for Ronan, and that's my big goal. And the thing is, I think the best way I can do this is probably through Ripascend. So,
but getting back on to
let's get back on the rails here.
Yeah, getting back on the rails. So I'm going through a ridiculous amount of stress and self-doubt regarding my abilities as a leader.
I don't think you should be questioning that.
And eventually, once I get the screenshots squared away, that's when I make the post. And shortly after that, I found out that things had gone things went into full meltdown over there.
Oh.
They claimed that I was. They claimed that I was airing grievances. Which I didn't. This wasn't a this. If that's what you consider this to be just a grievance, that says volumes.
Yeah.
There was also this idea that I was claiming that it was a private server, which I never said that.
Bullshit.
You saw what I wrote. When did I ever call it a private server?
That's no private server. Gay ops server maybe, but private server, no.
I've said community server in quotes.
Yeah. It's a gay ops server. Let's just be frank.
And I had also there was also one of them tried to respond to me saying I stand by everything I said. After I did that, they set up a Legend Edition Blue Sky account. I guess they forgot that I'm on Blue Sky as well because I track people in the tabletop space on all forms of media.
You won't even pay me to make a Blue Sky account because I go in there. Believe me, it's like
I only go on very specific feeds regarding tabletop games, and that's it.
Yeah, I say don't go in there without a gas mask.
So, and sometimes more political channels have tried to follow me, and I've immediately had them blocked.
Smart.
But there was, I think 12 is still salty about the fact that I had her blocked from commenting in general and claiming that it was real mature for me to cut her off like that, and I'm like, it wasn't personal. It was a business decision.
Yeah, that's a cope. Oh, this is the part when they're talking about they start getting cut off from the errata. And by the way, for those uninitiated, can you explain what he means by the errata?
Errata is referring to post-release changes or oversights, or basically small errors.
Oh, so it's sort of like so it's basically a troubleshoot guide, right?
Yeah, it is common practice among pretty much all forms of tabletop. Whether it be card games have an errata list, usually something you can grab on their website. War games have it, and RPGs have it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing new. And we had a log for edits that we were going to put in.
Okay.
Which is what led to the 1.1 release. Now, I had cut them off because they were the two biggest problem children.
Mm-hmm.
And any claim of image. I know one could say, why didn't you talk with them about their issue? The reason I didn't is because I had gotten the sense that what they wanted was a constant dragging of drama. They wanted you to. I'm just gonna cut you off at the head.
Yeah, the one I get from again, I call her 12 spurgs and retards, is that she wanted you to surrender to the community. Yeah, and I use quote marks, community. Yeah, community my ass.
When what I consider the community is the people within the server, the people who keep showing up. I consider guys like Mario the community. Guys like Dragon, guys like Matt, guys like Rind, the guys who keep showing up for my streams and for my events.
Oh, look at this shit. This is where they found out what's going on with Sig, and they said they call one of the monk's clergy of Redditors. Huh?
Shows that they don't know shit, because why would a monk have a clergy?
Yeah, they don't know anything about how religious orders work. Idiots. I mean, they're probably atheistic anyhow, so I don't give a fuck.
my approach is complicated, but monks may fill the role of priests, but that's a glorified backup. That's a case of we need a priest for a rite, but there's no priest on hand. A monk will fill that role. And as far as I'd say these kind of people have more Reddit energy than I do.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. And look at this. This apparently he's reached out to some of the weird motherfuckers out there. It's like, is it a Mildra themed warlock? So they went into freaking dumb fuck territory right here.
And afterwards, they tried to claim that my accusation of them cyber squatting was me using the term wrong.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, they didn't. They did try that redirect stunt.
Yes, I did.
That is the definition of cyber squatting.
Yeah, So I did not see the link change. I looked at the Wayback Machine. I did not see the link change from your Discord.
Yeah, that one we weren't able to pin down, but it did. But they outright admitted it.
It did redirect to their gay ops server. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable.
And they were outright bragging it as such. So way to self-incriminate. Yeah. Do I need to bring out the Napoleon quote again?
I don't think you need to, but I'll be honest with you. Go ahead.
I will anyways. Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake.
Ah, yes. And they made a big mistake with this shit. Now,
afterwards, Nami apparently sent me some lengthy DM and I have both of them unfriended and ignored.
Good.
I didn't even read the DM.
Yes,
it was salty. She was talking like an internet toughie in the server, and then shortly afterwards, Sig got banned. Now, Sig was already on the outs with them because when all the drama started, he had kicked Nekohime from his one shot that he's running because he has no desire for any sort of drama and saw Neko as a unstable element.
Would blame him.
I ended up joining that because I felt bad on the matter.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm somewhat responsible for this, so let me try and make some part of it right. Mm-hmm. Sig is a good guy.
Yeah, I can imagine so. And like I said, you did mention like I said, if you have time, see if you can come down to the Shogunate as well, because like I said, we're trying to get shit started with Ronin. It's like as soon as I get the maps and the module sets ready to go, we're gonna go balls deep. So
yeah, I haven't said no, but it's a case of I've got enough on my plate.
I don't blame you. There's no. You take your time with that one. Now,
but my approach to tackling the matter with them has been after this whole thing goes down, you're never going to hear me mention their names again.
That's fine.
I have not mentioned their names on any social medias, and the best way to really put these screws in is signal boost the hell out of Legend Edition.
Yes, and that's what we're gonna be. That's what we should be doing right now.
That's what I've been doing. You've seen me retweet a bunch of folk who have signal boosted it.
Yeah, Doku even signal boosted it. Now, I will put it in my circle as well. I don't know if Patty talked about this. I might give that to him. Give that go around to I'm sure Ultra American's gonna be spraying that around. Maybe, who knows? What I'm hoping it gets around to the main channels like Diversity and Dragons, because like I said, this is a fantastic piece right here. And not only that, and like I said, it's as I was saying with William Dell about Civil War II. This needs more attention than it does. This deserves more attention than it's getting. Okay? And there's a lot of shit out there that deserves more attention than it's getting. You know?
Yeah, and for the last 11 years, I've tried to do my best to get more eyes on different projects.
Well, like I said, I do have my connects. I can definitely do a little cold calling, see if they wanted to do it, because I know I do sound a little annoying in messaging guys like Grums. I know Grums will probably look at it because you and him go back to the Stone Age.
Yeah, I did tell him about the issue, and I did share with him when it hit 1.0.
Okay, so I don't think you could probably do that yourself because you know him. Not because what I like to do is I do like to DM to like cold DM people like Kirsha, Smash. I DM them knowing full well they probably won't respond, but you know what? If you don't make a shot, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
And well, worst they can say is no.
Worst they say is I'm not interested, and that's fine, you know. But the thing, I mean, if there is one criticism that I have of some of these influencers is, I wish they would promote some of the more indie stuff that's going on here. I mean, not just
that's been a harsh criticism I've had of a lot of that crowd for the longest time, especially whenever they step foot in my turf,
mm-hmm.
and it's very clear how limited their knowledge is.
Yes, and I do want to bring this up to Jeremy when I see him again at this. I'm not going to be going at him confronting about it. No. I'm going to come at him diplomatically because I've met Jeremy quite a few times at the meetups. He's a good guy. I get the feeling he's a good guy. But But like I said, it's not just a criticism of him. It's a criticism of a lot of the major YouTubers. Like, listen, you got this big fucking platform. I mean, I don't mean to say, oh, you should share the platform. No, I'm not like that. But I wish they would use their platform to get eyes on all this other independent stuff. So this way. A lot of the indies can start. A lot more eyes can get on projects that feel like they've been shelved or put on the table. Like I said before, William Dell about Civil War II. I wish that things got more freaking eyes on that. Like Final Fantasy Legend. I wish more things. There's a lot of projects that some more that could benefit from. But they could benefit from tens of thousands seeing it to just about tens of hundreds at best.
The burr up my ass has always been, you hear from a lot of influencers how we need to support alternatives, support the indies, and at the same time they're not leading by example.
Exactly, and that's what angers me, and that's it bugs me, you know. Like, for instance, another thing that pissed me off was, you remember Martina Marcota's graphic novel, Lady Alchemy graphic novel?
Yeah.
That should have had, I thought that shit was going to make some noise. Unfortunately, it didn't. And that's what
I know what obviously there was a lot of.
Yeah, there was a lot of drama. I am very aware of that, but you know, and yeah, we talk about this shit, but the problem is, what's our reach? Single digits.
Yeah, and I do the best I can.
Yeah,
and in the process of that, I've gotten a large amount of respect among the indie tabletop scene.
I mean, well, well, that's the thing. I don't have a lot of followers. I don't have a lot of stuff, but I think what we do have is we do have some good connects, and I think connections do matter, if for what it's worth.
I'm also well aware that that this is a marathon and not a sprint.
I know,
but I do think in the long run, more there will be more eyes on the actual version of Legend Edition versus a outlaw version that's akin to when the original Ghostbusters tried to make their own animated series to contrast with the real Ghostbusters, and it didn't stick.
Yeah. So you are expecting a quote unquote outlaw edition, or more like a
I expect them to say that they're working on one and it be perpetually worked on.
Yeah.
I expect the claim to be as much as there is, and furthermore, I expect that it's not going to go anywhere due to infighting, much in the same way that. Remember when a bunch of the ex-Skullgirls folk tried to make their community-based.
Yep. I remember that.
And what did Future Club amount to?
It turned into a bicker match.
Or, if I have to pander to us when it comes to sport, 2 words: Atlanta Spirit.
Yeah. Now, I'm very now like I said, and I think another way I'm trying to help you out with this one is this. Now, during the stream, I played that clip from "Don't Be a Menace to South Central," right? You made it that far into that VOD, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so basically, you know that scene where this guy's trying to where that guy's he's talking about yelling at Ashtray about Toothpicks Girl. I contrasted with that guy being these insurrectionists. You're Ashtray, and I'm Loke Dog saying, okay, listen, he doesn't need a problem. He doesn't have any problems with you. But then I slug him. But it's like, but I do.
Yeah.
So
and
go ahead.
There's certainly been that. Like I said, sometimes Zan seems to be my anger translator.
Yeah. So
and he's more than willing to take on that responsibility.
Yeah, I'll do that too. Like I said, I hope these motherfuckers find the stream that I did and this video. I hope they do and come at me. I'm ready for your ass. Like I said, all they're gonna do, in my opinion, is they're gonna do coming at me is you're just gonna raise my fucking profile, bitch.
Monetize your haters.
Yes, sir. Now, I know I shouldn't give away the game, but you know what? I can afford a little gloating every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I hope they come at me, and I hope some of my people that I got a problem with, they start to bring their trash out into the long too. Even though I have Autumn Ivy and her true girlfriend blocked. I hope they bring out their trash too. I was like, bitch. It's like they think, oh, we're gonna cancel this. I was like, bitch, I ain't stuck in this room with you. You're stuck in here with me. And you know I'm the mad Shogun. Well, so on that note, is there any final thoughts you want to get off your chest before we get up out of here?
Yeah, I will use this to do a bit of shilling for things that they cannot touch me on because better people have tried to take me out and
failed miserably.
To Thanos, you should have aimed for the head.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm doing an alternating podcast setup on Sundays.
Okay.
Between Faded Continuum, where Zan and I look at individual Final Fantasy entries and discuss how they might be adapted into our system. Um, Late in 1 week from Sunday, we'll be doing Final Fantasy VI.
Ooh.
In between that, I've been doing a podcast called The Record of Sword Forged Worlds.
Yeah.
This is what I've called an unofficial Sword World podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sword World, if you're not familiar, is one of the largest TTRPGs that was made in Japan.
Nice.
It has had a fan translation community for years, and it is getting an official translation sometime next year.
Okay.
And this is a game that's been around in one form or another since 1989. I'm a little bit annoyed that the translators keep implying that it started with Lodos. It didn't. But we have been covering the 1.0 era of Sword World on the Sunday streams as well.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, I'm still doing the Valley of the Judges on Thursdays and Fridays. Obviously not this Thursday because it's Turkey Day.
Yeah.
I will be back at it on Friday, continuing the look at Draw Steel with Sig and Tabby.
Yeah.
And Saturday, I will be part of a actual play for the game Skies Above, which is in a similar vein of channeling console-style RPGs in tabletop form by my good friend Lost Heaven.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So all of this particular dust up, this isn't going to stop me from continuing my crusade.
Yeah, and it shouldn't. I mean, it's just a bit of a bump of the road. I mean, like you said, better people try to take you out and they failed.
Like, Scientologists tried to take me out and they couldn't do it. What chance do these people have?
You got a problem with the Church of Scientology?
I was part of those protests a long time ago.
Oh. Alrighty then. So with that said, well, I like to think I thank you for coming on talking about this situation, try to clarify some stuff up, and talk about Legend. Like I said, I do hope like I said, hopefully, now that you've rejoined the Shogun for like the third time now. Hopefully, we'll be seeing you in some future streams, man. And like I said, once we get the games going, man. Like I said, you're more than welcome to come along, my man.
I appreciate that.
Alrighty then. So with that said, folks, until tomorrow's RoboCop stream, God bless you. Take care of yourself, and just remember, it's a very nasty world out there, especially nowadays, with people trying to snatch your freaking games off from under you. So please be careful out there, and just remember this little hobby of ours. We built this shit. It's not for the tourists and the tourist activists and corporates to take. So gatekeep your tables and gatekeep your hobbies. Good night, everybody. I'll check y'all later. Take care.